to loose, ne yet the warlike pledge to yield. He smote thereat with all his might and maine, that nought so wondrous puifance might fuftaine. Upon the joynt the lucky fteele did light, and made fuch way, that hewed it quite in twaine. The poore yet mifled not his minifht might, but hung ftill on the fhield, as it at firft was pight. For griefe thereof, and devilifh defpight, from his infernal furnace forth he threw Huge flames, that dimmed all the heavens light, And rolled in dufkifh fmoke and brimftone blew, As burning Aetna from his boyling ftew Doth belch out flames, and rockes in pieces broke, And flagged ribs of mountaines molten new, Enwrapt in coal blacke clouds and filthy fmoke, That all the land with ftench, and heaven with horror choke. The heat whereof, and harmfull peftilence, So fore him noyd, that forced him to retire A little backwards for his beft defence, To fave his body from the fcorching fire, Which he from hellifh entrayles did expire. It chaunft eternall God, that chaunce did guide, As he recoyled backwards in the mire, His nigh forewearied feeble feet did flide, And downe he fell, with dread of fhame fore terrifide. There grew a goodly tree him faire befide, Loaden with fruit, and apples rosie red, As they in pure vermilion had been dyed, Whereof great vertues over all were red. For happy life to all, which thereon fed, And life eke everlafting did befall. Great God it planted in that bleffed ftead, With his almighty hand, and did it call The tree of life, the crime of our firft fathers fall. In all the world like was not to be found, Save in that foyle, where all good things did grow, And freely fprung out of the fruitfull ground, As incorrupted nature did them fow, Till that dread Dragon did all overthrow. Another like faire tree eke grew thereby, Whereof whoso did eate, eftfoones did know Both good and ill. O mournefull memory! That tree through one mans fault hath doen us all to die. From that firft tree forth flowed, as from a well, A trickling ftreame of balme, moft foveraine and dainty deare, Which on the ground ftill fell, and overflowed All the fertile plaine, as it had dewed been with timely raine. Life and long health that gracious ointment gave, And deadly wounds could heale, and reare againe The fencelefle courfe appointed for the grave. And to that fame he fell, which did from death him fave. For nigh thereto the ever damned beaft Durft not approch, for he was deadly made, And all that life preferved did deteft. Yet he it oft adventured to invade. By this the drooping daylight gan to fade, And yield his roome to fad fucceeding night, Who with her fable mantle gan to fhade The face of earth, and wayes of living wight, And high her burning torch fet up in heaven bright. When gentle Una faw the fecond fall Of her deare knight, who weary of long fight, And faint through lofle of blood, moved not at all, But lay as in a dreame of deepe delight, Befmear'd with precious balme, whofe vertuous might Did heale his wounds, and fcorching heat allay. Againe fhe stricken was with fore affright, And for his fafety gan devoutly pray, And watch the noyous night, and wait for joyous day. The joyous day gan early to appeare, And faire Aurora from the dewy bed Of aged Tithon gan her felfe to reare, With rosie cheekes, for fhame as blufhing red. Her golden locks for haft were loosely shed About her eares, when Una did her marke, Climbe to her chariot, all with flowers fpred, From heaven high to chace the chearelefle darke, With merry note her loud falutes the morning larke. Then frefhly up arofe the doughty knight, All healed of his hurts and wounders wide, And did himfelfe to battell ready dight, Whofe early foe awayting him befide, To have devour'd, fo foone as day he spide. When now he faw himfelfe fo frefhly reare, As if late fight had not him damnifide, He woxe difmayd, and gan his fate to feare. Nathlefle with wonted rage he him advanced neare. And in his firft encounter, gaping wide, He thought at once him to have fwallowed quite, And rufht upon him with outrageous pride, Who him rencountring fierce, as hawke in flight, Perforce rebutted backe. The weapon bright, taking advantage of his open jaw, Ran through his mouth with fo importune might, That deepe empierced his darkefome hollow maw, And backe retir'd, his life bloud forth with all did draw. So downe he fell, and forth his life did breath, That vanifht into fmoke and cloudes fwift. So downe he fell, that th' earth him underneath did groane, As feeble fo great load to lift. So downe he fell, as an huge rocky clift, Whofe falfe foundation waves have wafht away, With dreadfull poyfe is from the maine land rift, And rowling downe, great Neptune doth difmay. So downe he fell, and like an heaped mountaine lay. The Knight himfelfe even trembled at his fall, So huge and horrible a maffe it feem'd. And his deare Ladie, that beheld it all, Durft not approch for dread, which fhe misdeem'd. But yet at laft, when as the direfull Fiend She faw not ftirre, oft fhaking vaine affright, She nigher drew, and faw the joyous end. Then God fhe prais'd, and thankt her faithfull Knight, That had atchieved fo great a conqueft by his might. Canto 11, Book 1. The Legend of the Knight of Red Cross.